Are you wanting high-speed internet but don't have access to PUD fiber? Try Sky-Fi high-speed wireless internet from LocalTel. Call 888-8888 today. It's time for NCW Life News on the NCW Life channel. The latest from the Wenatchee Valley and North Central Washington with Steve Hare, Grant Olson, and sports with Eric Granstrom.
Good evening and welcome to NCW Life News. I'm Grant Olson. Before we get to today's top stories, let's take a quick look outside our weather window. And we can't see anything. It is so hazy and smoky out there today. That is looking down at the Columbia River, Wenatchee and East Wenatchee. The George Seller Bridge is down there somewhere. But I'll tell you what, it has been a just nasty day out there today with our air quality between unhealthy and hazardous throughout most of north central Washington. And here's what we're looking at as far as air quality and when we may see some relief. Still some smoke and haze hanging around for tomorrow and into Thursday. It should improve late Thursday into Friday as a weather system moves in. And for the weekend, things look pretty good as far as the smoke goes. Our air quality should improve a lot by Friday and into the weekend. But we've got more hot temperatures and some smoke to talk about a little bit later on in our weather forecast. And now a few of the stories we're following for you tonight. Search and rescue crews help 2 hikers in the Enchantments. A 2-vehicle injury accident sends 4 to the hospital. And the Swaim trial continues in Chelan County Superior Court. Later on, we'll have sports, your weather forecast, and our feature story today. But first, it was no holiday for firefighters battling a rash of forest fires in the Pacific Northwest. Dozens of wildfires in Washington, Oregon, California, and British Columbia have combined to create a suffocating haze of smoke here in the Wenatchee Valley with no sudden end in sight. The smoky conditions have prompted ongoing public health problems with poor air quality, all in the unhealthy to hazardous range, and that's expected to continue almost all week. Meanwhile, on the fire lines, the Jolly Mountain Fire in Kittitas County has grown to over 20,000 acres now. Heavy smoke settled into the valleys again yesterday morning, but didn't lift until nearly 4 o'clock in some areas of that fire. Once it did lift, the behavior increased, but not as significantly as it did on Saturday. Moderate fire activity allowed firefighters to make good progress in the Teanaway Valley. Crews continued burnouts overnight in the Teanaway and Wagon Wheel. The town of Roslyn remains under a level 2 evacuation advisory, but no homes have been damaged. Meanwhile, the Uno Peak fire is burning in the steep slopes of the east shore of Lake Chelan on lands managed by the U.S. Forest Service. It's approximately 15 miles up lake from Manson. It's burning in timber, heavy downed wood, brush, and grass. The fire is now measured at over 6,000 acres. The fire continues to grow to the northeast and throughout the safety harbor drainage. There's still a level 1 evacuation notice for 2 private inn holdings along that lake, the Llama Ranch area to the south and the Canoe Creek to the north. The fire remains approximately 3 miles from those areas. Fire managers confirm that in spite of continuous efforts using multiple water drops by Sky Crane, the fire destroyed the historic Crow Cabin. The Jack Creek fire was spotted Friday afternoon, burning in the Alpine Lakes wilderness. The Jack Creek fire started by lightning back on August 11th. The wildfire is burning approximately 15 miles southwest of Leavenworth within the wilderness area, and so far has consumed around 1,800 acres. Fire managers will monitor the wildfire from the air. The fire's location is in a remote area of the Okanagan and Wenatchee National Forest. The U.S. Forest Service reports additional trail and area closures in the Enchantments due to that Jack Creek fire. The fire is burning in the 8-Mile Lake and Stewart Lake drainages, and its size, as we just mentioned, is now at 1,800 acres. The quick burning blaze prompted immediate evacuations of backpackers and day hikers in the area. Several hundred hikers were safely evacuated from Kolchak, Stewart, 8 Mile, Caroline, and the Trout Lake areas. The fire is burning 15 miles southwest of Leavenworth and is sat dormant for several weeks before burning into receptive fuels, which caused it to grow quickly. U.S. Forest Service officials say the fire is accomplishing forest management objectives by providing for firefighter and public safety and maintaining wilderness values. 2 climbers are back home in Seattle, safe and sound, after rescuers escorted them off a cliff in the Alpine wilderness. Chelan County Sheriff Brian Burnett reports the climbers were rescued from Dragon Tail Peak. That's about 11 miles southwest of Leavenworth. Now, on Thursday afternoon, 50-year-old James Templeton of Seattle and 28-year-old Peter Pross of Seattle were attempting to climb the peak via the Serpentine Arret route. The climbers got off route and reached a spot where they couldn't climb any higher and were unable to descend safely and activated their emergency beacons. A Chelan County Sheriff's Office helicopter responded to the area and located the climbers on a small ledge approximately 100 feet below the summit of Dragon Tail Peak. Air 30 inserted a Chelan County deputy, 2 members of Chelan County Mountain Rescue, and a medic from Lake Chelan Community Hospital into the area. Rescuers were able to reach the climbers who were not injured and guide them safely off the mountain. A Monitor man faces vehicular assault charges in connection with a 2-vehicle injury crash in Leavenworth Friday afternoon. Washington State Patrol troopers say a car driven by 37-year-old Jesus Bertusconian collided head-on with another vehicle on Highway 2. All 4 passengers in the second vehicle were injured and transported to Cascade Medical Center for treatment. Troopers say alcohol was involved. Coming up, the Kashmir cold case trial continues. Governor Inslee signs a state of emergency for the state of Washington, and a local teacher is nominated for the Life Changer of the Year award. I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching NCW Life News. Have a fun video you'd like to see featured on NCW Life? Email us at newsphotos@ncwlife.com. More witness testimony is slated today in Chelan County Superior Court in the first-degree murder trial of Bernard Swaim. Swaim is charged in the 1982 cold case murder of Stephen Smith of Kashmir. Swaim and his ex-wife, Dawn Souls, are co-defendants in the case. Souls was also Smith's former wife. She and Swaim are accused of conspiring to kill Smith over a child custody dispute. Souls was called to the stand last Friday as a witness for the prosecution. She has reportedly agreed to testify against Swaim in return for a lesser charge. Souls claimed that she and Swaim visited Smith at his Kashmir area home in July of 1982. She says she was in her daughter's bedroom when she heard the 2 men scuffling in the front room. Smith's body was never found, but Souls testified that she noticed blood on Swaim's arm and clothing later that same evening when he returned to their hotel room. On Saturday night, Washington Governor Jay Inslee proclaimed a state of emergency in all Washington counties due to growing wildfire concerns. Inslee's proclamation points out the fact that firefighting resources throughout the state and western United States is limited due to existing and projected fire conditions and activities throughout the region. The governor's proclamation also allows the use of Washington National Guard resources to help fight fires and direct state agencies to utilize state resources to do everything reasonably possible to assist affected areas. The State Emergency Operations Center is currently activated at Level 2 to help monitor the situation and coordinate state firefighting efforts. Well, if you were driving on Eastmont or Grant Road in East Wenatchee this morning, you probably noticed something was a little literally off. Well, at 10:30 this morning, a large section of East Wenatchee lost power. Initially reported by neighbors living near the power plant on 10th Street, they claimed they heard loud pops coming from the plant. The transformer that was the cause of that outage passed power from the bottom of Grant Road through Valley Mall Parkway and onto Eastmont Avenue. The outage affected 580 customers within the zone, including schools and businesses, as well as any homes in that area. Douglas County PUD crews worked quickly to divert the power supply to get things up and running. Power was restored to all affected locations in just over an hour. An English teacher at Westside High School has been nominated for the 2017-2018 Life Changer of the Year Award, which recognizes K-12 educators who make a difference in the lives of students through excellence, positive influence, and leadership. Westside Principal Corey Callahar said that he nominated Jennifer Devereaux for her compassion for students.
I nominated Jennifer for the Life Changer Award because she is truly an outstanding educator in every sense of the word, And when I think of an outstanding educator in our particular building at Westside High School, I think of someone who not only has teaching excellence and engages the students, but also takes it to the next level. She is a counselor, she is a case manager, she is a caregiver. She just takes kids under her wing and does whatever it takes to make sure that they're successful. Our students at Westside come from all walks of life, but most of them have not been successful in the traditional educational setting for one reason or another. Sometimes it's social anxiety, sometimes it's just lack of success in academics, but for whatever reason, they flock to Jennifer, and she is just like a second mother to all of them.
Life Changers finalists and winners receive cash prizes to be shared with their school districts, with announcements coming later this year. You're watching NCW Life News. Coming up next, your sports update, followed by today's feature story. That and much more still to come on NCW Life News. Stay with us.
Get the fastest internet available in North Central Washington by switching to LocalTel and get speeds up to 1,000 meg. Call 888-8888 today or go online to localtel.net.
And now it's a sports update on the NCW Life channel.
And a happy Tuesday. Well, it feels kind of like Monday. So let's, as a Monday, take a look at what happened last week. First of all, on the Les Schwab scoreboard from Friday night in Big Nine football, Southridge edged Wenatchee 24-21. It was Kamaikan over Eastmont 35-6. Caribou Trail League all non-leaguers. Cashmere fell to Ephrata 21-10. East Valley of Yakima down Cascade 34-26. And Quincy over Chelan 35-7. On Saturday in soccer, Central Valley shut out Wenatchee 2-0 in the Caribou Trail League. It was Cascade over Kings 5-2. And get that score in NCWB football, Etihad 82, Northport 0. Well, the prep schedule for today has been impacted a lot by the smoke. That's right, postponements for Wenatchee at Ellensburg, Brewster at Chelan, Eastmont at Cascade, or at Cashmere, and then Ephrata at Cascade, all postponed. They will make those up. It's just not going to be for a while. Volleyball inside, so they're okay. Waterville hosting Okanagan tonight, while Cascades at Natchez Valley. On the Les Schwab scoreboard for college football over the weekend. It's a good weekend for our teams. Washington State topped Montana State 31-0. Washington edged Rutgers 30-14. Eastern fell at Texas Tech 56-10. Central Washington got a win against Texas A&M Kingsville 34-10. Coming up this Saturday on the schedule, Western Oregon's at Central Washington for a 1 o'clock kickoff. North Dakota State at Eastern at 1. Montana's at Washington at 5, and then Boise State at Washington State on Saturday night. Well, Houston scored 4 runs in the 7th inning to break a 2-2 tie and went on for a 6-2 win over the Mariners Monday at Safeco Field. As we look at the Les Schwab scoreboard there, the Lost snapped Seattle's 3-game winning streak after sweeping Oakland over the weekend. The Astros' 7th was highlighted by a 2-run double by Alex Bergman, 2-run single by Josh Reddick off Mark Zebchinski, and Luke Vincent. Manager Scott Servais said it was kind of a flip-flop where they got a good start on the mound but couldn't back it up.
We're starting out with Erasmo Ramirez, threw the ball really well. Obviously, he made a couple mistakes on the home run balls, but gave us kind of what we were looking for today. 6 innings, keep us right in the game. Felt good about that. Keuchel was really good, obviously, but tight ball game late. 7th inning, going to Zepp there at the bottom of the order, flipping Gonzalez around, and then McCann. He's gotten McCann out. He's kind of. I think McCann was 1 for 11 against Zepp, but. He had a long at bat, worked the walk, and then just going to Vincent, knowing that was kind of the top of their lineup is really good, and it's all right-handed. And I thought Vinny made some good pitches, didn't get a whole lot of luck. That happens once in a while. But those 2 guys have been our most reliable guys down there, and the back end of our bullpen. It just, didn't get it done there today.
Dallas Keuchel was dominant in picking up his 12th win of the season, going 7 2/3, allowing 2 runs on 7 hits and striking out 5.
Clean ball game. You have to give credit to Keuchel. He was really good today. I think it was 13, 14 outs on the ground. The double play balls certainly squashed a couple rallies there we thought we got going. But, he's a accomplished left-handed starter with a good sinker, and, he got it done against us today.
Seattle and Houston playing the middle game of that 3-game set tonight. Newly acquired Justin Verlander for the Stros on the mound against the Mariners' Ariel Miranda. A quick look at where the Mariners are in the wild card race. As Kansas City was a winner, so too were the Yankees, the Angels, Tampa Bay over Minnesota, Texas down Atlanta. So New York on top of that wild card chase, 3 games in front of Minnesota. The Angels a half game back of the Twins, Baltimore a game and a half back, Seattle sitting 2.5 back heading into tonight. Finally, the Seahawks set their 53-man roster over the weekend in preparation for the regular season opener this Sunday at Green Bay. To surprise to many, wide receiver Casey Williams was waived and quickly picked up by Cleveland. So too was quarterback Trevon Boykin in favor of Austin Davis. Seahawks will be in Green Bay to take on the Packers on Sunday. That's a look at sports news. I'm Eric Grandstrom. Grant, back to you.
Thank you, Eric. As of August, the Methow Beaver Project has successfully released 25 beavers into the landscape since the beginning of the field season. The project released a new video highlighting the relationship between beavers and river restoration.
For thousands of years, steelhead and salmon co-evolved with beavers. Historically, beavers created and maintained complex riparian zones that were resilient and able to support large populations of salmon. However, in the early 1800s, fur trappers removed most of the beaver from the Columbia River basin. Because beavers have been absent from the landscape for so long, much of the ecological diversity they provided is lost. As a result, our rivers and streams are really struggling to recover from the impacts of logging, mining, and fire.
Right now, there's not enough habitat available for our local steelhead, spring chinook, or bull trout, which are all listed under the Endangered Species Act. Beavers cut trees and shrubs from the river's edge, creating this matrix of large and small woody debris, which are the building blocks our rivers desperately need. All this woody debris creates complex edge habitat, which is exactly what the fish require to survive in large numbers. As an example of complex edge habitat, these freshly chewed trees, which beavers just felled last night, are providing fantastic cover for juvenile fish in this channel. It's just another way that beavers improve stream habitat. One concern that's often expressed about having beaver dams in rivers is that it would block the migration of fish. But that's not the case. Beaver dams and ponds actually create wonderful nurseries for juvenile fish. The slower current can increase the abundance of insects available for fish to eat, and is one reason salmonids reared in beaver ponds grow faster than those reared in unimpeded streams. Not to mention, beaver dams provide ample cover for juvenile fish.
In the spring, when a majority of our juvenile fish are out migrating to the ocean, our rivers are swollen with snowmelt. These high spring flows breach beaver dams, allowing these outgoing fish clear passage downstream. Here's an example of a beaver dam that was breached last spring, allowing those juvenile fish outflow to the ocean. The adults returning now have access to additional spawning areas above the dams.
To give endangered fish a chance to rebuild their population to historic levels, we need to learn to coexist with beavers. Careful beaver reintroduction then gives us another tool we can use to create that vital salmon habitat. At the Methow Beaver Project, all of the beavers that we live trap are relocated into public lands high in the watershed where they're less likely to run into conflict with people. To learn more about us and the work that we do at the Methow Beaver Project, visit our website, Facebook, or shoot us an email.
We'll be back in just a moment with a recap of some of today's stories and your complete local weather forecast right after this.
Stay up to date with what's happening in North Central Washington. Go to the NCW Life Community Calendar at ncwlife.com.
And now a recap of some of our top stories. It was no holiday this past weekend for firefighters battling a rash of forest fires in the Pacific Northwest. Dozens of wildfires in Washington, Oregon, California, Montana, and British Columbia have combined to create a suffocating haze of smoke here in the Wenatchee Valley with no sudden end in sight. The smoky conditions have prompted ongoing public health problems with poor air quality in the unhealthy to hazardous range, and that is expected to continue for most of the week. Meanwhile, on the fire lines, the Jolly Mountain Fire in Kittitas County has grown to over 20,000 acres. Heavy smoke settled into the valleys again yesterday morning, but did not lift until nearly 4 o'clock in some of the areas. Once it did, fire behavior increased, but not as significantly as it did on Saturday. Moderate fire activity allowed firefighters to make good progress in the Teanaway Valley. Crews continued burnouts overnight in the Teanaway and Wagon Wheel. The town of Roslyn remains under a level 2 evacuation advisory, but no homes have been damaged. The Uno Peak Fire is burning in the steep slopes of the east shore of Lake Chelan on lands managed by the United States Forest Service. It's approximately 15 miles up lake from Manson. It's burning in timber, heavy downed wood, brush, and grass. The fire is now measured at over 6,000 acres. The fire continued to grow to the northeast and throughout the Safety Harbor drainage. There's still a level 1 evacuation notice for 2 private in-holdings along the lake, the Llama Ranch area to the south and Canoe Creek to the north. The fire remains approximately 3 miles from those areas. Fire managers confirmed that in spite of continuous efforts using multiple water drops by a Sky Crane helicopter, the fire destroyed the historic Crow Cabin. Meanwhile, the Jack Creek fire was spotted Friday afternoon, burning in the Alpine Lakes wilderness. The Jack Creek fire started by lightning on August 11th. The wildfire is burning approximately 15 miles southwest of Leavenworth within the wilderness area and so far has consumed 1,800 acres. Fire managers will monitor the wildfire from the air. The fire's location is in a remote area of the Okanagan and Wenatchee National Forest. The U.S. Forest Service reports additional trail and area closures in the encampments due to that Jack Creek fire. The fire is burning in the 8 Mile Lake and Stewart Lake drainages, and its size, as we mentioned, is at 1,800 acres. The quick burning blaze prompted immediate evacuations of backpackers and day hikers in the area. Several hundred hikers were safely evacuated from Kolchak, Stewart, 8 Mile, Caroline, and the Trout Creek areas. The fire is burning 15 miles southwest of Leavenworth and sat dormant for several weeks before burning into receptive fuels, which caused it to grow quickly. U.S. Forest Service officials say the fire is accomplishing forest management objectives by providing for firefighter and public safety and maintaining wilderness values. More witness testimony is slated today in Chelan County Superior Court in the first-degree murder trial of Bernard Swaim. Swaim is charged in the 1982 cold case murder of Stephen Smith of Kashmir. Swaim and his ex-wife, Dawn Souls, are co-defendants in the case. Souls was also Smith's former wife. She and Swaim are accused of conspiring to kill Smith over a child custody dispute. Souls was called to the stand last Friday as a witness for the prosecution. She has reportedly agreed to testify against Swaim in return for a lesser charge. Souls claimed that she and Swaim visited Smith at his Kashmir area home in July of 1982. She says she was in her daughter's bedroom when she heard the two men scuffling in the front room. Smith's body was never found, but Souls testified that she noticed blood on Swaim's arm and clothing later that same evening when he returned to their motel room. And now your weather forecast for north central Washington, and we're not seeing much as we take a look once again outside our weather window. Look at that. Yeah, the cities of Wenatchee and East Wenatchee are down there, as well as the George Seller Bridge. We can't see any of it, and we have had unhealthy to hazardous air throughout the day, throughout the Wenatchee area, and pretty much all locations around north central Washington. And that will continue. North central Washington skies will remain choked by wildfire smoke tonight and through Wednesday, probably into Thursday too, thanks to that persistent upper level ridge that, as we take a look at our satellite picture, you can see it's been over the Great Basin area in Utah for almost 2 weeks now, and there's little change expected. Wednesday will also have the potential to bring near record warmth, but that regional smoke definitely adds a lot of uncertainty to the temperature forecast for the next few days. So I backed off somewhat on mid to upper 90s for high temperatures. The deep upper level trough visible on satellite off the Pacific coast will merge with the remains of a tropical system off the California coast and force the hot western U.S. ridge axis eastward. That will begin Wednesday into Thursday, and Thursday will be another warm day and mainly dry, but the approaching trough will inject some deeper moisture into the area, mainly over the Cascades on Thursday, with a slight chance of afternoon and evening thunderstorms over the high terrain near the crest. Friday and Friday night will bring probably the best chance of precipitation to the region for the upcoming week, with a slight chance of rain over our forecast area. Boy, wouldn't it be nice. Noticeably cooler temperatures will also return to the area on Friday and continue through the weekend. So here's a look at that forecast. We will see once again lots of haze and lots of smoke. That's the clouds you see on that forecast map. 67 our overnight low tonight, 90, that'll be our hottest day tomorrow. We could see hotter temperatures if we don't see as much smoke tomorrow. We'll keep our eye on that. And then 88 for Thursday, 85 is all for Friday, and much cooler then as we get into the upcoming weekend. Temperatures in the lower to mid 80s with lows around 60, and then just a bit of a warm up as we kick off our next work week on Monday with 86 our high and our expected low to drop down to 61. Closing out our newscast tonight, professional golfer Phil Mickelson was in the hunt in last weekend's tournament when he decided to get some shot advice from an expert in the gallery. Take a look.
That's a good trick. I took a video of it.
Run. If you have a video of the day you'd like to see on NCW Life News, message us on our Facebook page at the NCW Life channel. And that's going to do it for our newscast tonight. For more on these stories and other news from around North Central Washington, you can find us on Facebook or our website at ncwlife.com. And remember, if you see news happening, we'd like to hear from you. You can send us an email at news@ncwlife.com or give us a call at 888-6295. I'm Grant Olson. Thanks for joining us and have a great night.
This has been NCW Life News on the NCW Life channel. For more news, log on to ncwlife.com, like us on Facebook, and follow NCW Life channel on Twitter. Are you wanting high-speed internet but don't have access to PUD fiber? Try Sky-Fi high-speed wireless internet from LocalTel. Call 888-8888 today.